Welcome back to part 2 of tuning up your hand planes. Your good friend Walter here, and we just tuned up this plane. And I'm going to walk you through what I did. I can't show you every step, but I will tell you what I did. And currently, it is performing like a brand new plane right out of the box. So, the first thing I did was to take it completely apart like I showed you last time. And I'm just going to partially take some things apart right now so we can talk about them. Took everything apart and I put them in a bath of laundry soap and warm water. What that did was it dissolved dirt and grime and grease, loosened up some of the rust. The laundry soap has a rust inhibitor in it, so you can't create new rust. But you can get flash rust once you clean it off. Take it out of the soap and clean it off. So the first thing I did was I took all the parts out. I used a wire brush. This is brass. And I cleaned all the parts with this brush. You can see the grime on it, to get the loose rust off. Then I oiled everything with a penetrating oil to stop any flash rusting. So, as you can see by the cheeks, we did not clean off the patina. This came to me with some of the edges worn, and that's fine. Cleaned a little bit on the front here and on the back. But all the areas where the Japanning is off, the paint is more or less rust-free at this point and oiled. I put a little bit of Danish oil on the tote. Okay, just put a little Danish oil on the tote, cleaned it up, let it dry, buffed it off. The knob is not as important because that's going to be replaced. I did not buff the brass, okay, nor the adjusting knob. Everything was taken apart and reassembled with a dab of 3-in-1 oil, just 3-in-1 oil, so that in the future, further cleanings, further adjustments are easy. All right, the blade is still the way I honed it, didn't change anything there, but this was pretty heavily rusted, and if you rub hard enough, you'll still get some more off of it. But everything fits together beautifully. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using a little bit of this ballistol, and I need to call the company because I need to know what some of the active ingredients are, because I'm a little sensitive, respiratory, and I get a little wheezing off of it. I don't know if there's like an herb or some sort of oil of some sort of plant. It's all natural. It's supposed to be safe. So you put a little protecting oil on all your parts that you've cleaned. All right, get in back here, any place where there's fresh metal, and you oil it. Now, if you want to do a complete full restoration, you would remove the Japanning that's loose, and you'd re-Japan it or you repaint it. Okay, that's not part of this procedure. So I put a little bit of oil on the blade, especially on the back where it's going to be mating. Remember I told you I was going to take the file on here, on this surface, to see if there's any high spots. I did that. And there are a few shiny spots now here where the plane blade will be mating with the frog. As far as tuning up, when I reinstalled the frog, I made sure that the frog sat flush to possibly a 64th in front of the surface of that leading edge. I don't know if you can see that. In the front of that leading edge there. It's just ever so light. I mean, it's a 64th maybe. That's the way I set mine up. Some people constantly move their location of their frog for different operations. Once I restore a plane, that's it. I very rarely have to move that frog again unless I change the purpose of the tool. One typical change in purpose would be as if I took the jack plane and decided to make it into more of a scrub with a big cambered blade for some sort of roughing project. Take a little more of that ballistol on here. Help penetrate into that cast iron a little bit more that's been cleaned on the spring, on the lever. And the more you use your tool, once you've done a tune-up, the more you use it, the shinier it's going to get. It's just the nature of use. Leonardo da Vinci found that out when he sat wearing his leather pants and rubbed it against a rock that he was sitting on. He found that both items wore, one a little more than the other. So, the lateral seems to be working just fine. How tight you make this lever is totally up to you. I like mine just a little snug. That way, you don't get much change due to use. There we go. And that's the tune-up. Let's see what we got here. Edging. A little heavy to the left. So we move the lateral to the left a little. I know it's hard to see, but I moved that ever so little and it got quite a large advance. I'm going to move it back just a titch. You know what a titch is, right? It's a little less than a touch. It needs to go back just another half a titch. So you're getting even cuts. That's real close to being a similar cut on left and right side of. See, if your lever cap is not down tight enough, you'll get free will. You'll get free will lateral movement. The plane will do it on its own. And sometimes, if I don't have it tight enough, even this finger will change it. So your body language, there we go. Now we got it. your body language when you're holding and handling planes, you have to remember that while you put this pointing finger out here, you shouldn't be putting pressure into that blade. There's a little bit of whip in the adjusting knob. See? Before it'll actually change the blade. That's okay. It's just part of what it is. You get used to that when you use it. And you learn not to over advance or over retract. So, what we're going to do next time, instead of doing a complete soak in laundry soap, what we're going to do next time is use a product that I use on my antique furniture, and I use it on new work, I use it on metal, I use it on wood, veneers. We're going to take the number 6, which is already working just fine. Oh, I didn't talk about, I didn't even bother mentioning what I did to the sole of the plane. The biggest thing, the most time-consuming part. Oh my goodness. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. All right. Before I put the plane back together, I had the body off on its own. And we went in on a lapping plate, and I lapped the sole. It wasn't bad, but it still took 2 hours to get it to this point. All right, so there was some sort of a hollow here, and I don't know how that was created, but that's gone. There was a hollow up here, there was a hollow back here, there was a lot of different things. I've gotten it to the point where the front 1/4 inch in an arc is just not, it's just barely touching. And the same thing with the heel. Just barely touching right here. And over time you're going to create wear spots there anyhow. So, it took about 2 hours on 3 different grits. If I had some, 60 or 80 grit, it might have went faster. So everyone can start yelling now. I did it with all the fittings and the frog off. That's right. I did what most of you are going to say you're not supposed to do. When I did the restoration of the 4.5, I tried it. I tried it on a flat piece of glass with some wet or dry paper, and I went to see where it was hitting. Then I dried it, and I remarked it, and I took everything off, and I went to see where it was hitting. It appeared to be, to the naked eye, it appeared to be hitting exactly the same places. So, what we're going to do now, what I'm going to do now, you're watching, I'm going to do. What I'm going to do off camera before we start this one is I will go, now that it's assembled, and I will leave this rest overnight. I will leave it rest. Tomorrow I will take it back to the lapping plate and I will put on some, probably the same grit I was using. I was using 120. I usually don't go past 120, 150. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. This one looks like it might have been lapped a little bit finer at one time. But even my other planes, same thing. And then they get scuffs and scratches during use. So I'll take it back fully assembled after a rest period, and I'll just touch it up again just to see if there are any high or low spots. But as you can see, it is working perfectly fine. Even planing flat surfaces. Look at that. Beautiful. See that? So, wow, full width, full width. And if you're lucky, let's see, if I hold this down and I lift up, the board should come with it. It's flat. That's the vacuum, that's the suction. I mean, look at that. And that is almost a perfect shaving. I don't know if you can see that. It's feathered a little bit on that side. This side you barely can see it, so I probably could tap the lateral a little bit, but no, it's feathering. That is a perfect shaving for smoothing. So I can use this jack plane as a smoothing plane, as is. Okay, or I can camber that blade a little bit more and use it for roughing. I can use it for jointing, as you saw at the opening. I can use it for jointing. 5-foot board. And away we go. See, that's a pretty hefty shaving. Well, that's about it for today. I want to thank you for stopping by during our tune-up clinic. See if we can't get that a little thinner. And come back when I do I'm going to do the number 6 pretty much. I'm going to try to do as much of that live as I can. Well, record it all on camera. Because all I'm going to do is take it completely apart and clean each piece as I go, set it aside, and then dry everything off, put it back together. And then we'll take it in and we'll flatten the sole. Actually, I might do the sole off camera. That takes time. Sometimes it's done in 3 shakes of a lamb's tail. Sometimes it takes 2 hours, like it took this one today. I know that sounds like a lot of time. My only other option is to drive 2 hours, take it to a machine shop, and when I say drive 2 hours, it's drive a total of 2 hours, here and there, there and back, here to there to back to pick it up, and have a machine shop grind it down for me. So that would be $50 plus all the time and fuel, wear and tear on me and the car. So if I lap it by hand here, I get the exercise, which some people say I could use. How dare they? And I spend a little bit on abrasives, but I don't have any travel time. There we go. And I get pretty good results. So stick around. We'll do the number 6 next. Go tune up your plane. Make some shavings. Walter out.